Hey everyone, welcome to Tea and Chocolate. And I'm super excited today for having this amazing guest. And, she actually suggested it. And while she was suggesting it, I was actually thinking it. So it was a synchronicity of our minds. So today I'd like to welcome Melanie Raquet. She is a trauma-informed body and energy worker. She's located in Vancouver. We are both in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. And today's segment is titled Gentle Power, Healing from Trauma, the Feminine Way. And I know you're going to find this conversation incredibly exciting and very interesting. And the whole intent is to help you on your journey. And we're going to hear all these stories from Melanie that are rich in power. Thank you, Melanie, for joining me today.
Thank you for the beautiful intro, Lauren.
Oh, okay. So let's start off however you would like to, what experiences in your life brought you where you are today as a trauma-informed and energy body worker?
I think I was very blessed to meet people on my path of recovering from trauma. That helped me tremendously turn the tides around. So my deepest wound, I was able to turn them into my life purpose. And so I'm very dedicated and passionate to empower women that come from a place of deep trauma, to convey this possibility, not only for recovery, but from thriving, that what you're learning, your most biggest challenges can really empower you with incredible knowledge to go and help people that are going through the same type of hell. If of course you learn and grow and are willing to do the work yourself.
Well, having that understanding of this knowing, on some level, did it excite you knowing early on what your life's purpose was?
Well, I didn't really know early on because my life purpose only came to me on the late. I was 27 years old when I went to massage school.
Okay.
So it was quite late in my life, almost, in my 30s, that I really got that I was like, oh, this is what I'm meant to do.
But do you think it's late?
It depends. Some people find a life purpose at, there's no age. I mean, some people know it in their teens or when they're much younger. So yes, it depends. It's a personal thing. Yes.
Would you like to share, some of your personal experiences?
Mm-hmm. I discovered through my own life exploration, that the best way to heal from trauma, there be physiological, emotional, spiritual trauma, is through the body, because the body and the nervous system holds on to those emotions. And so by creating safety around in your life and within your own body and nervous system, you can reclaim all of yourself, and you can reclaim all of your clarity, your power, your strength to move forward in your life. Mm-hmm. So with my way is guiding people through receiving safe, caring, sacred body work. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Massage that helps you feel good and held and honored in your own skin, just the way you are, fully accepted, unconditionally loved and cared for. And that's very rare in the society we live in. Often we haven't received affectionate touch from our parents, or appropriate amount of being acknowledged and seen and cared for by our parents, or even later on in life, we don't even get that from our romantic partners. And often people don't have the template for that. They don't even know what safe touch is. They don't even know what sacred space is. We can have it, we can have mental concept of what that is, what that sounds like. But until we experience it fully in our bodies, we don't really get it. And until we get it, we can't really heal.
I know that your practice and services are for women only. You have a women only business. I'm curious to know, when I was reading your notes, even on your website, which is, by the way, I just want to mention wavebodywork.com, is that I wonder what it would feel like for you, for like when you're in that space and you're offering any of the modalities that you offer, that you recognize the trauma within yourself, in terms of your own self-healing and discovery. Like there's always this mutual relationship between the two. Someone comes to you on the table, they've got their story, you've had your story. Does that make sense? So I'm really curious how that dynamic presents for you.
It was a long time in the making. So for the first 10 years of my career, I worked in wellness centers and international spas around the world, and I massaged everybody. And I was the classical, highly sensitive person, empath, that was trying to please the whole world.
Okay.
Like, to help everybody. I didn't have good boundaries to ask myself the question, what do I actually really enjoy? What brings me incredible joy?
Right.
Who are the people that I really resonate with and that really want to share and I'm excited to share my passion with? So it's when I started my own business that I allowed myself to ask myself those questions. Where is my excitement? Where is my joy? And of course, as a survival of trauma that were perpetrated from men, it was more challenging to be in massage as an incredibly intimate setting. And as a lot of survivor of trauma, I'm highly sensitive to everything. To sound, to light, to all my surroundings, and to the energy that people carry. So I also, that very tuned in nervous system of mine, that very intuitive part of myself would sense if there were safety with certain type of clients, and where there were no safety, meaning male clients, some have very good boundaries energetically, and some have no clue about any energetic boundaries. So with those lacking of boundaries, I would feel very unsafe. I could not relax into my full power because there was that part in me that was activated that didn't feel safe. After a while, I realized that it wasn't worth my time. It wasn't worth my energy to put myself through that. And that situation never happened around women. I wasn't ever triggered around women. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of men that don't trigger me because they have good boundaries, and I feel incredibly safe. And I have a lot of amazing male friends in my life that I feel safe with. But on a professional setting, it felt so much better for my nervous system to work with women, and it felt aligned to work with women that are like me, highly sensitive, on their spiritual path, wanting to feel empowered and reclaim and love and heal their bodies and nervous system.
Mm-hmm. And I can attest to the fact that I can share with everyone that I've received your services. And the space, actually the space itself, even the space that you've created, the physical space, really feels like a womb. It's a very mother-like energy in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like you can just drop everything at the door. We often don't, get those opportunities to do that. And so I know that you, as part of this, the service that you offer, what do you think that you want to leave your clients with? And I know it's not going to happen once. It's like there's an evolution in this experience.
Yeah. Well, first, I want my clients to be able to experience that level of, feeling unconditionally loved and held in a safe and really nurturing that motherly like energy. I think it's incredibly healing to be held in that way. So everything is geared around that. I want my clients to feel like queens, like goddesses. So that's everything is geared around that. The light, the sound, the music, the essential oils, the hot towels, the candles. It has to feel, for me, incredibly luxurious. To reclaim that sovereignty, that sense of being the queen of our queendom, of our lives, to feel strong and amazing about ourselves, and reconnect with the body that has so much. The body holds a lot of pain, but the body can hold a lot of pleasure. So we can switch the tide from pain to freedom, to pleasure, to empowerment, if we create those sacred spaces where we are held and supported with that intention.
Thank you for that. I want to go back here for a moment. And you've said, I've heard the call of the divine feminine, as long as I can remember. And I think you wrote that on your website.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you explain that to me?
I had an interesting childhood, because I was born in a very Christian environment. And of course, in that particular environment, it's quite a masculine way of looking at God and the divine.
Right. Okay.
And I didn't feel a connection. I was always a rebel. I was always asking a ton of questions. That I would go to Sunday school and ask questions and challenge the priest with my inquisitive mind, and my questions were shut down. 100% of the time. So there was, you couldn't ask question. That's the way, and that's the only way. That's the only path to God. And for me, it felt utterly wrong. The second thing that felt utterly wrong was that after church on every Sunday morning, I would listen to people outside of the church in my small village in France. And there was a lot of gossip, a lot of people judging other people, a lot of negativity. And even as a young child, between 5 and 10, that's when I was going to church every Sunday and going to Sunday school. I was like, this doesn't sound very spiritual. This doesn't sound loving. This doesn't sound kind. That's not what I'm learning in Sunday school. Those people are not in alignment. They're pretending. Yet I had a spiritual experience from a very early age to connect with Mother Mary. So it was interesting. Every time we would chant Hail Mary, the songs, the images, something in me was really resonating with her. And it never, ever left me. It never ever left me.
Wow.
I went on a quest to find God, and I traveled the world from France. I went to India, to Hawaii, to Canada, and I went and researched experiences of connection with what love is. And for me, universal love, the ultimate love, is the love of the divine. And in the sweat lodges, Mother Mary was with me. In
Wow. Oh,
the volcanoes in Hawaii, Mother Mary was with me.
oh, wow.
In the ashram in India, Mother Mary was with me. And it was so, I was so interested. That connection with the divine feminine was always there. So after a while, I would say after 10 years of spiritual research and travels, I finally surrendered.
And what does that mean?
I surrendered that I had this connection, and this connection with Mother Mary. And then it unraveled further, but I didn't want to have this Christian connection to God, because Christianity, the church, has done so much damage, all around the planet. There's so much horror that I was like, no, nothing Christian. I'm going to look into connected to, always felt very attracted to the earth. So shamanic practices, worshiping trees and plants and elements, that really resonated with me.
So how did Mother Mary and your path to, say, shamanism meet each other? Or like, do you have them separate, or you believe in both? Or how does that feel inside you, in your body?
Well, it connects to Mother Earth.
Okay.
And that energy of creation. And it connects with that unconditional love and acceptance.
Right.
Yeah. I don't think that Mother Earth judge if it wants to give, life to a creature and not another. Yeah. And I think that's the power of the divine feminine. There's no judgment, no discrimination.
Right. It's interesting because this is fascinating. Thank you for sharing all that. We've lots of like spiritual teachers and, women, that I speak to, all speak about the patriarchy and how that sort of overshadowed, our existence for many years. And I'm wondering if there's something to be said about Christianity or Catholicism, for that matter, like in the truest sense of its teachings, and how the masculine has overshadowed the teachings, right? So I don't know if if we're giving them a fair shot, if you know what I'm saying, yeah. Right? Because Mother Mary and all the other feminine beings, that came before us, well before us, who were representations of the church. Perhaps true representations of the church, that they were standing side by side, and we don't get that today, for sure. So I'm really curious about that, because you see, like, Carolyn Miss, one of our spiritual teachers, she's a theologian, and her language use is very, she talks about the archetype, and, so when I see, I guess, women like that rising, I trust that more, I guess. So there's a different way of perhaps approaching Christianity, or any religion for that matter.
Absolutely. Okay. And as a matter of fact, everywhere along my travels, I felt that divine feminine essence. So I found it when I was studying Qigong through Yin.
Right.
Found it when I was in the sweat lodges here in Canada with white buffalo calf woman. I found it with green Tara when I was, studying Buddhism. Right. So I found that it's an energy, it's an essence, and it doesn't.
Yes.
It doesn't matter the wrapping of it.
Right. Right.
It doesn't matter where you're in the world. There's a different depiction of it, but the energy itself is the same. Is
Right.
that divine feminine energy. I happened to be born in Europe. I happened to be born within
Right.
that very Christian environment. And that's where it started for me, but it never ended. Everywhere I go in the world, I can feel that in every spiritual, every religion. She's there.
Right. Well, when given the fact that you were born in France,
Mm-hmm.
did you go to the place where did you go to spiritual like places in France? Because there are things that are noted uh,
Mm-hmm.
around the stories of Mary Magdalene and how she ended up in. I'm just curious. Did you check
Yeah.
that out?
I actually haven't got the opportunity to go to all the sacred sites where
Yes.
Mary Magdalene came and
Right.
and found refuge in France. Yes, I'm very aware of them. I was closer to I went to Mont Saint Michel, that's in Normandy, and that's the cathedral where Archangel Michael was worshipped, and that's where his energy was anchored in France. So I went there and I received that Archangel Michael transmission. So he's part of my divine feminine, divine masculine team.
Okay.
Yeah, that I work with now.
Wait, oh, awesome. So
So
you,
I actually work with a lot of masculine archetypes as
uh-huh.
well now. And
Right, right.
and my goal now is to help bring the balance, the harmony within the masculine and feminine energies within ourselves, within the yin and the yang.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So throwing out the labels and the
Yeah,
hurt and the trauma from the patriarchy, I
yeah.
want to reclaim respect and kindness and the empowerment that come from fully embodying our inner masculine and feminine strengths together, and
Right.
that working as a team. Doesn't matter if you're in a woman body or in a male body, or
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I hear you.
Finding that balance. Mm-hmm.
What when you were aware of the early ons of the way Christianity was taught, and you would challenge the priest in that, did you talk that through with anyone, like your mom, maybe, or do you remember
No,
that? No,
well, not really. I kept that very
really.
secret. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Well, you don't tell me you didn't think of that.
Yeah. I was very blessed to have a very open-minded mother. So she introduced me to a lot of beautiful work of Louise Hay and Louise Bourbeau, and she brought me to my first shamans
Oh,
and
wow.
counselors, and
Okay.
she really opened my mind that there's a lot of this new age world, this holistic medicine world. She really introduced me to that from a very, very young age. And she was labeled as an heretic. They were telling, everybody was saying, Mom she's part of a cult because she's going to yoga, you know.
Oh, wow. All right.
I was in the 1980s,
My
1990.
God.
She was part of a cult because she was going to yoga.
All
So
right.
we came a long way, but I was very blessed that she introduced me to a lot of different things. So I never had any judgment, even though I was coming from a very kind of extremist background of Christianity through my father and his family. My mom was like, well, here's the rest of the world. So you get to choose what resonates for you. And I'm eternally grateful for that,
Right, right.
for my mom, and that opportunity to not being afraid to try things that are different.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Wow, it's quite interesting. I wasn't expecting for you to share all that today since I kind of know you. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did your father play a presence in your life at all? Like, you know, because you've had this real this imprint
Yeah.
early on, like from your mom, and your dad's probably presented another
Yeah, um,
reality rather.
my dad represented all the shadow part of,
Okay.
so he was very damaged.
Mm,
He was holding a lot of trauma. That's that part of my lineage that hold a lot of broken men. So
okay.
it's through him that yeah, I got my first how could I call that? Yeah, I've encountered abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse from a very, very, very young age. So I've actually, and he was totally absent, emotionally, physically absent from my life. So he
Mm,
was very damaging for the first 10 years of my life. And then my parents divorced. We left, and then I was not in contact with him anymore. So he created a lot of trauma for me. He was, yeah, like I said, emotionally and physically abusive.
mm,
And it's interesting because my mom also, and the lineage of my mom's side of the family was holding a lot of hate towards men. So I started
oh,
with a very
right.
damaging male figure in my life. My mother reinforcing men are trash, men are abusive, you can't trust men.
Hmm.
And then, so first 10 years abuse, next 10 years, I'm reinforcing the abuse with being around my mom. Of course, men are horrible. You can't trust them. And then in my 20s, I decide to disconnect. And that's when I leave. I leave my country and I come to Canada. And I was like, wait a minute. I felt like my soul pulled me out of that. There was so much heavy, dense, complicated, traumatic dynamics that was happening in my family that I had to get away, as further away as I could, so I could start my own healing. And that's when I decided to come to Canada. Uh, I decided to come to Canada to learn English. So it's not, it wasn't conscious at the time, but I realized after I decided to
Yeah.
settle here that my healing really, really started. Because energetically, somehow I was safe. I was far enough from all of them, all of that, that I could start connecting with myself, with my soul. And it happens kind of very fast, this spiritual awakening activation. Once I was able to, when I was in that space of safety, yeah, I could rewrite my story. I could choose my own life and I could heal. Yeah,
Hmm. Would you describe yourself as a feminist?
absolutely.
Would you, when the conversation around, as of late in the past few years, around white privilege and white and particularly against the white male, how did you respond to that?
It's been a journey, I have to say, since the whole, yeah, for the past 5 years, to come from a place of rage, reclaiming my rage and reclaiming my anger. And
Mm-hmm.
that came through very strong with the Me Too movement. And I
Uh-huh.
was really excited for everybody to get the opportunity to tell the truth. And I actually was very excited for some of my male friends that also came out and say, me too, I was abused by a male figure.
Mm-hmm.
So the damage was not only done to young girls, it was also done to young men. And that's young boys. It's very, very sad. It's all across the board. Sensitive boys also go through tremendous trauma. And I think it's a societal problem at large. It's not an individual problem. I I have to say myself, I I stopped hating all men. It's, it's not a general hatred around a sex. It's, well, there's actually a lot of good souls. So it's letting go of the male patriarchy versus getting clarity on it's an energy, it's an intent, it's a way the whole society has been brainwashed towards abusive behavior towards each other.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of females that are very abusive as well. You don't need to be born in a male body to be to be an abusive person.
Yeah, and I think that's the I guess the movement was necessary for sure, and I'm sure that you deal with that on your table when clients come to see you in one form or another. And I know that the movement, like I said, it's necessary. I also know that we don't see it, we don't hear it about it so much any longer because it was flawed, and that's another show. And so I wish that when we continue to hear things in the mainstream narrative media about these things, I often think about where are the founders of these movements and why are we still not, because there's still things happen. I guess as we're human, maybe this is the deal. This is the way. But I can see things are shifting for sure.
Yeah, and there's a lot to be done around trauma and around people finding peace within themselves and within their bodies. So it doesn't matter if you're born male, female, if you identify as
in between, yes, absolutely,
ambivalent, it doesn't matter. It's necessary for us to do our own trauma healing, our own trauma work, to make peace between all of the parts that are within us.
Right.
That very sensitive part, and our strength, our loving compassion. We need both energies, the masculine, the yin, the yang, to come together and to team up. Enough of the war. I feel like we've been seeing that in the world for so long. And in the past, in the past 5 years, there's been so much division and so much finger pointing. You're bad. No, you're bad. And you're bad. And like, come on, let's do the inner work. Let's come into a place of harmony and within ourselves, and let's respect and show up with compassion and kindness towards each other. And that's where the healing starts. Yeah,
Yeah, well, thanks for saying that, because, I keep asking, haven't you had enough war? What's this, especially when you hear it from leadership, in Canada right now. I don't have a lot of, excuse me. It's very hard to find compassion for the current leader of Canada. I don't have any compassion at the moment. Maybe one day that will come, or forgiveness for that matter. I mean, that's my own work, because we're just continuously on the road of like this endless trauma. Right. And that's why I support, we know what's going on, the honk, the truckers. And that's the real reason is, for me, it's like, let's understand what's going on here. All these years of,
and let's understand that we are being manipulated, because we all hold trauma, and we all hold those places that are tender and sensitive, and we are being, I feel, in so many ways in our society, yes, with politics as well, for sure, being emotionally manipulated into creating more divisions politically, within our friends group, within the family units, and within ourselves. And it's very despicable to me, that there's that fire of division and judgment and hatred and separation is being so strong in the last few years. And that is showing a deep need in our society to do the trauma work, reparation, reclamation of, no, actually, I know who I am, I know what my truth is, and I don't need any external politicians or power figures to tell me what I know is true for me. And we need to get reacquainted with our nervous system, with our body, with our intuition, to be able to do that and stand for ourselves in the place of sovereignty. And that's what I mean by the feminine power, is that you merge that gentle compassion for yourself, for your wounds, for where you come from, yet you're able to set boundaries, to be like, actually, this is where it stops. This is where I'm going to hold myself with compassion. And your trauma, your projection, I'm not taking this on anymore. And that's a place of strength that a lot of women that come from, a very tender place in childhood, they need to reclaim that. They need to feel that, to nurture that, so they can know how to tend to that inner fire, that inner truth, and that inner strength. So I believe it's with us coming together, us women coming together, with us men coming together, with that feminine energy of compassion and kindness. That's what I mean by that divine feminine energy. That's the energy of compassion and kindness. And coming together and holding each other in a good way, instead of constantly going to war. And it's like the next war and the next war and the next movement. And let's bring our swords down and just be present and breathe and hold each other in a kind way. We're all on this planet to heal and to help each other and not to fight. Yeah. And enough of that.
Well, I'm wondering if these are the catalysts for this phrase that people talk about, is the Great Awakening.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what's interesting is that, there's a lot of elite leaders in the world, and they, have specifically outright said, they talked about the Great Reset. And I'm wondering if energetically or karmically that would actually backfire. to say we could have a great reset, but maybe on our terms, not yours.
Yeah, I think, humanity as a whole we're exhausted of being told what to do. Mm-hmm. We have to reclaim our sovereign body and also our sovereign choice, our sovereign truth. We have to become our own leader and come from that place of informed consent of, this is my truth, and no one is going to choose for me. As a society, I strongly believe that we need that.
Well, we do, but a lot of people don't want it. It would mean that they would need to face something within themselves. There's a part of us that's quite lazy.
And right? That's like being told what to do.
Yeah, like I would rather be told what to do because then I don't have to do this, and then I don't have to face this.
Absolutely.
And that's why maybe there's this I don't know, like division.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, there's part of it. I think it's quite nuanced and it's quite layered.
I totally get it.
Do you think we're complex, or do you think we're simple?
We're incredibly complex.
Okay.
Incredibly complex.
Yeah. So you don't think we're simple and we make things complex? Isn't that don't the ultimate teachers tell us that?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think we have so much ways that we want
Yeah.
to not change anything. Even an
Mhm.
incredibly abusive relationship feels, when you come, and I've explored that myself,
Yeah.
you come from a place of trauma, a family unit where there was a lot of abuse, a lot of trauma. That's where it feels like home. That's what feels normal to you. So when you get something better
Right.
than that, when you get friends or
Right.
partners that hold you with kindness and love, that feels really uncomfortable and you want to run away from it. And there's a lot of places in us that believe that we don't deserve that. That feels really awkward, really uncomfortable. So we have to have the time, the energy, and the will to look at that and to realize that we are not perfect. And then we have a lot to learn about ourselves and get out of our comfort zone and
Yeah.
explore things that are stretching our boundaries and the limits of our brains and beliefs and psyche.
Hmm.
That's the only way you can heal.
Yeah.
And it's a very adventurous and sometimes very scary path to take.
Hmm. Thank you for that. When I was reading that you heard the call of the feminine early on, you also, from what I understand privately, you and I talked a little bit about um, how animals actually reflected back to what you were feeling.
Mhm.
Yeah, can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's interesting because it's so it's that intuitive self. When young children, when child come um, to earth, we are so we absorb everything,
Right.
and we try to learn ways of communicating and relating with our surroundings.
Mhm.
My surrounding was very scary. There was a lot of trauma. There was not a lot of safety. But luckily enough, I was born on a farm. My dad was a farmer, and
Mhm.
we had a lot of animals, and he had a lot of horses. Horses, I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they're incredibly sensitive,
Right.
incredibly psychic.
Mhm.
So they mirror back at you what they feel of you. So it doesn't matter what you want, they're gonna hear you, they're gonna tap into your nervous system, they're gonna tap into your energy, and that's what they respond to. And so when my environment, as a, you're born in a unit where there's incredible trauma, when there's no safety, there's no healthy communication, it's really scary to be born in a unit like that. When I had the chance to spend time with animals, they would not project their trauma at me. They would not attack me. They would accept me exactly the way I was. And they would reflect to me what I was putting out. And then I understood that if I was also aware of what I was feeling, then I could communicate with them from my heart, from my nervous system. So let's say I was going on horse rides in the forest, and one day there was a big storm, a lot of lightning, and the horses would be really scared. The only way to calm them down was to calm down my nervous system. So if I was calm, if I was grounded, if my energy was safe, they would all of a sudden drop, calm down, trust me, follow me, listen to me. So they actually taught me how the nervous system, how two sentient beings' nervous system were actually communicating. And that's the beauty of what animals have to teach us. Because human beings, we live a lot in our heads and we have a lot of trauma running in our heads, versus when you speak with your nervous system and with your energy, then it's unconscious, it's a silent language, but we feel that. And so from a very young age, I was initiated to talk on a subtle level, on an energetic level, on the level of my energy, my nervous system, my deepest heart intentions. And that's what helped me connect in this intuitive way on the massage table with my clients. Because I know that even unconsciously, we all tune each other up. Just like, you tune a guitar, you can tune another human being by calming each other's nervous system. We self-regulate with other humans. And so I have learned from a very young age to do that, to actually calm my breathing, calm my nervous system, ground my energy deeply into the peaceful energy of Mother Earth. And from that place, the person that I care for on my massage table instantly feel it. And that's what also, you feel the energy that is in my space, my healing space. But when I put my hands on you, there's an inner sense of, and it's just your nervous system that takes a deep breath and is able to, this other sentient beings is safe, has good intention, because my nervous system is regulated. And that's from that place of self-regulation that I help my clients to learn to receive that template of inner peace, so they can, from that baseline of feeling it, understanding it, having an experience of it, then they can continue to nurture it and support that state of inner peace and resilience, and find ways in their own lives to continue the work and to grow, heal from there. But first, you need to feel it. You need to receive the template deep within your nervous system. And from there, you can create the environment, you can find tools and practices to continue to foster that resilience in all of your life and all of your relationships. That's my my goal and my inspiration in the work that I do.
Wow, that's quite beautiful. Let's take what you just said into pregnancy, because I find this really interesting, where I can imagine what it would be like to massage, and give, energy and healing work to someone who's pregnant. I think that's fascinating. What's that like?
Yeah, it's incredible. It's out of this world. And that's also something that our society, our Western society, and the patriarchy has crushed, is the beauty and the magic that women's body can create other life. It can be channels and vessels to give life.
All right.
And for me, it's the most magnificent and magical thing there is. And women should receive so much more support from society, from their women friends as well, to be held, because their bodies is transforming so much, their psyche is transforming so much. On a personal level, I can feel the energy of the baby. So there's not just a baby growing, there's a soul that came and are incarnated in that body. So when I massage a pregnant lady, I can feel the energy, the soul, the nervous system of the mother, but I can also feel the energy, the soul, and the nervous system of the baby. So it's like there's two energy systems.
Wow.
I can take an image of like two Christmas trees there's two sets of light system. There's two different energetic channels, and and there's so much magic. The field, the baby is so connected to that divine, to God, to that realm. So there's so much divinity and sacredness, and I love to support mothers in this incredibly challenging, physically their guts are being pushed in all kinds of sides, but they're so it's the most incredible time in the life of a woman, and I believe we should honor that so much more. And for me, it's an incredible honor to cherish and serve women that are going through that period of transition, before, during and after the birth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's quite a privilege to be able to birth, a child in this world. And even that has become complex and political in a lot of ways. And gosh, it's being able to honor everybody on their path wherever they decide. And I'm curious about, what does it tell you? Are you a believer that we choose our parents?
Yes.
At the soul level. So when we abort a child, whether it's medical, whatever the reason is, like, there's no judgment on either side, because but what's your feeling on that, since you're so connected in that space?
My feeling is that the soul come to the mother's body to live an imprint, to give a message, to give a lesson.
That's beautiful.
For the mother.
Right.
And I believe that the soul of the baby knows in advance that the mother is going to abort.
Oh, you do?
I believe that they know in advance that it won't go through.
Because?
And that's an experience that they choose, because they have soul contracts. They're teaming to helping the mother grow, evolve, expand.
Yeah. Right. This is where I guess it gets, complex, because, you have, I don't know. To me, I'm just really questioning a lot about where we are as women today, and whether you choose to be a mother, and that's okay to be a mother, like a full-time mother. And that's just as relevant as women who wanting to go into the boardroom or whatever it is. So it's a softening, I think, that we still need to have. I don't know, that we still need to aim for, I think. And we're frozen. Okay, we're kind of frozen right now, but that's okay. Oh, there we go, Melanie. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, you froze there. That's okay. It's only a few minutes. It's only a few minutes. Okay. So anyway, yeah. Did you hear what I was saying?
No. Can you please read?
Oh, okay. So I was just basically saying how, it doesn't really matter if you aim to be, in the boardroom, or if you want to be a mother full time, right? Like we seem to have this, it's either yes or that, and the pressure of that, and women wanting to do more, and maybe you can do more, but not all at the same time. It's, anyway, that's a whole other discussion, but I've just been observing, sort of, like on all sides, like on all, it's interesting to see how women want autonomy, right? We want to make our own choice. And yet, you have others that, have other ideas in that. So it's, I've been thinking about a lot. Yeah.
And I think we are, the patriarchy, quote unquote, has worked its ways also in women, because I have friends that have chosen to be a woman, and they have women friends that are telling them as they're nursing their young child, so when are you going back to work? What about your career? What about your life?
Right.
Saying being a mother at home raising your child is not enough.
Yeah, I think that's the messaging that somehow
Is
that we're giving.
a waste of time,
Yeah.
a waste of your life.
Right.
And that is also a place where trauma happens.
Meaning
Children needs to have parents around. They
right.
don't, we need that secure attachment in the younger days, in the younger years of our lives, to be able to be individuated, strong, sovereign beings.
Mm-hmm.
If our parents go back to work, very quickly after we're born, and we are receiving education from complete strangers, those are also trauma.
Oh, that's interesting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I think it's all, it's all very, very complex, but it all comes from a place where it has to be a conscious choice. If the mother feel like it's, important for her to get back to work, then she should go back to work. If she feels like it's where she belongs, to be at home, to raise her children, then we should respect that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really important to bring awareness, to not project, judge other people's choices.
So that being said, then what do you think the role of Mother Mary has had in your life?
Well, Mother Mary is it's the channel of pure love, unconditional love,
Mm-hmm.
non-judgment. So it's this place that it helped me to hold all life, all beings through the light of love and compassion, and especially myself, as I realized that I was the most cruel and judgmental towards myself.
Mm-hmm.
I had to learn to be compassionate and kind towards myself so I could hold that same energy towards others. So it's more challenging than it seems, to have an inner dialogue that is kind, to speak out loud words that are kind towards your fellow human,
Mm-hmm.
and to channel that energy of kindness and there's so much trigger in the world.
Yeah.
That would make you think that this world is so flawed and so cruel.
Yeah.
So I believe, as highly sensitive people, we have a choice to foster those places of safety, of sacredness, where we can be held in the way that, that really feels right, and hold each other so we can be the carrier of that frequency of love and of compassion. I believe that we are seeds of love and compassion, all the highly sensitive, empathic people on this planet. And we need to come together and to support each other, and so we can be functioning. So we can find a way, find our tribes, so we can function well in this world. So I believe it's a whole movement, and that's what they call the awakening to the fact that we deserve care, that we deserve to find our tribe, that we deserve to be held, and we deserve the love, and we deserve the nurturing spaces. We know, and that's my calling. That's what I call my clients. I meditate, and I call them, you're a highly sensitive person, you're a very spiritual person, you're craving to be held in a safe and sacred way. Come to me, I will hold you, I will cherish you, so you can find your strength again. You can replenish again, and then you can go out in the world and do what you came here to do. And that's, I think, the movement that is happening right now in the world. We're being called to support each other, be embody that change that the world needs.
Yeah, beautifully said. I just wanted to mention, you've got two things that I know you want to mention, and I could speak for longer. We've already spoken for an hour, and I'm like, oh my God. Okay, so do you want to quickly touch on the microdosing that you do? Find that really interesting, and the your upcoming energy healing classes, and then we can end off there.
All right.
All righty.
So first, the energy healing.
Okay. Okay.
So for me, I realized, and it took a long time, a lot of exploration on my spiritual journey to find safe places where I could connect with the energy of other individuals, but it had to feel right. So I came, from a place, I'm always been an adventurer. So I traveled the world. I went to different ashrams, and I to different shamans and different spiritual teachers. I had to find people that were embodying the truth, that were channeling that energy of selfless love and compassion. And it's something that is very, very rare. And that's something that I want to offer through my classes, that we all can do that. We all can we can tap into that energy of the divine within ourselves. We all can restore our nervous system. We all can open our channels. We don't need an extra, we don't need a guru. We don't need a spiritual teacher. We need to find ways to create that sacred space within our home and within our body. From there, we can channel. We all channels. We're all healers, and we can all foster that connection with our higher self and our guides. I'm really passionate about that. You don't need a guru. You don't need a spiritual teacher. You don't need a crystal. You just need to find this clarity and to nurture that sacred space and that sacred way of intentional living. So that's what I want to teach with my energy healing.
Wonderful.
Teach people how to be sovereign of their energy and their connection to the divine.
Excellent.
With plant medicine, I found that they could be also gentle helpers that help us connect with our unconscious, with our nervous system, and with our trauma. And so I personally rejected that world of plant medicine because I was seeing the trauma that was being played out there.
Right.
Seeing that those plant medicine have been abused for a long time, and especially in the Western world, because we have so much recreational drugs. So we use plants to have fun and to party. Therefore, we don't have the intention, the consciousness to connect with them with reverence and with respect. I have, in the last few years, connected with a plant that is really dear to me, that really resonate with me, and that's psilocybin, magic mushrooms. And because I'm so highly sensitive, connecting with it in a very, very small dosage, and with those very micro dosing, had offered me a way to regulate my nervous system. And I have clients that also hold a lot of trauma. And what happens sometimes with trauma is that we can dissociate. We can't actually access our intuition, our inner knowing, because we have put a wall between our consciousness and our heart. So those plant teachers and microdosing psilocybin in particular can be really helpful to connect with the subconscious, to connect with the places that have been shocked and frozen in fear, in terror. And we can gently access them and gently introduce that energy of safety, of nurturing, of acceptance, of compassion. So those micro dosage of plant medicine can actually be incredibly healing, incredibly helpful to go in the depths, in the murk, in the unconscious, and help bring a lot of light and a lot of love. So I've got to gain a lot of reverence towards plant medicine. But as a highly sensitive person, it comes from reverence. I don't want to abuse it. I don't want to explode everything. I don't want a big fireworks. I want it to be done gently, mindfully, consciously, in a safe way. That's why I invite some of my clients that resonate with that inquiry of connecting with plant medicine and helpers to come into a place of discussion and come and be held in a good and safe way, and to explore deeper within their nervous system with the help of me holding space and with the plant teacher, the psilocybin, to help connect with those forgotten, hidden places of their subconscious and their nervous system, and gently come into a place of friendship and healing.
Are you dealing not only with the individual, but also the ancestry when you get into plant medicines? Or does it depend on the intention of your client?
It totally depends on the intention of the client. Yes. It can be done without, the connection with the ancestry can be done with or without the plant medicine. It's not necessary to have the plant medicine to access that. It depends on the person and their level of openness and curiosity to connect with those realms.
Right. Now, I don't have no experience with plant medicine. I've just, heard various stories, everything from ayahuasca to various mushrooms and such. And I think, like, in our Indigenous brothers and sisters in Canada here, they have also the tools. They use plant medicines, correct?
That's true. Yes.
Are they different from what you're offering?
No, the mushrooms that I use, they grow here.
Okay.
So they grow in the forest. They're native plants of Canada, and it's something that I really, really appreciate. It's also connecting us to our roots. It's also connecting us to the energy of these lands that we live on. It's also a way to connect with the ancestors, with the First Nations, and with the energy grids of here now, and to come to a place of wholeness. We live on these lands. We live in this body. We come to a place of good relationships with all of it. Just like I also love connecting with plant medicine through essential oils. They also hold those energetics. So connecting with mushrooms, where trees that are growing here is, I believe, very important. Yeah.
Such a fascinating discussion today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lauren. I really appreciated it.
Yeah, that was really wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
God, okay.
Maybe we should have another one.
Yeah, oh God, anytime.
Thank you so much, Lauren.
What's that? What's that?
Much. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, my pleasure. I'll write all the notes as you're listening, everyone, to how you can contact Melanie. And I hope that you feel that you can reach out for all sorts of reasons. Is there any last words that you want to end off with?
I'm here available if you want a free discovery call, you're welcome to reach out to me on any social media platforms. I'm pretty much everywhere. And I'm always open to connect and to chat. So yeah, feel free to be curious, to reach out, to send me a text, a message, and we can go from there.
Okay. So that's wavebodywork.com. And thanks everybody for joining me on Tea and Chocolate with Melanie, and take good care of yourselves. Bye for now.